Mission file 02546. 8 days ago, contact with Galactic Federation Trooper Squad Bravo was lost. Contract agreement. Locate Federation troopers and render assistance. Data confirmation. Last transmission received from a rogue planet located in the Dasher region called Ether. Or Ether? Whatever. Uploading last known coordinates now. And then we get this fancy pre-rendered cutscene that shows off graphics that probably couldn't have been done real time. I'm not an expert. Looks cool though. Oh. At any rate, greetings and welcome, gentles and ladiesmen, to a brand new playthrough here on ExoParadigmGamer. I am, of course, ExoParadigmGamer, and this is Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, originally released for the Nintendo GameCube in 2004, and re-released for the Nintendo Wii alongside the other two Prime games in 2010. If I haven't made it obvious in the title, or from the fact that this is in widescreen, non-stretched widescreen no less, this is the Wii version of the game, not the GameCube version. And there are a few reasons why I'm playing this version, but I mean, like, I don't need to go into whole remake or re-break territory here, but I do consider this the definitive superior version, the Wii version of both Prime 1 and Prime 2, to be the desired best version of those games, for a myriad of reasons that I will be covering as the playthrough progresses. But at any rate, let's kick things off by just trying to see if we can find those Federation troopers. I'm gonna be upfront about this from the beginning, but this game has something of a slow start, slow rev-up time, if you will, and since this game also has a lot of lore that I'm gonna be going after, I request that before you try to give this playthrough a chance, stay with me for a few episodes and see if you're getting into it before you leave, like click on something else or leave the video, because it does take a little while to get into it, and I'm freaking making the thing for you guys. As to why I'm doing this, just to be clear from the beginning, is that all video projects of all kinds take time and effort to complete. I mean, it's just the facts of the situation. But when it comes to reviews in particular, they take a lot longer to make. And when it comes to the next marathon coming up, which are those Sonic games I announced in the Sonic Genesis review, I want to make sure I put as much time and effort into them as possible, so that I'm hoping that the reviews that I end up creating for them will become something of the definitive reviews. I don't know, that's probably hoping for too much, but point is, I'm putting a lot of time and effort into those videos, and the fact that it's also a crossover and a version comparison, also brings its own difficulties into the mix. So bottom line is that I want to make sure that, well, here's the thing, is if I wait until those videos are finished, then you guys basically won't have any content for like months, and I don't want that to be the case. I don't want to do what happens with this last semester, the previous semester, where it's like, I uploaded maybe like a top 10 video every couple of weeks, and people were like begging for me to come back and stuff. I don't want that to happen again. I want to upload something consistently for you guys, so that I'm here and that I can interact with you guys, the fans. And I did a playthrough of Metroid Prime 1 like almost 2 years ago, and I don't know, it wasn't something that everybody loved, but I have gotten enough requests from people saying like, oh yeah, I like that, when are you going to do Prime 2? And it's just like, you know what, seems like a perfect time to do this. I wouldn't be opposed to doing other games in the future, you know, just as sort of like a side project thing to keep you guys tided over, but for now let's focus on the game at hand. And so this game is largely, mechanics wise, very similar to the first game if you've played that, and but you know, usually when people talk about the best Metroid games, they'll bring up, you know, Super Metroid, Prime 1, maybe some people like Prime 3 or Fusion or Zero Mission, but games like Other M and Prime 2 and Prime Hunters are often referred to as sort of like the worst games of the bunch. And you know, when I first played the Prime trilogy, I started off with number 3, then I worked my way back to 1 and 2 once the Wii version came out. I have played both the GameCube and Wii versions of these games, but you know, the first time I played Echoes, Prime 2 Echoes, I wasn't a huge fan of it either. Like, I was more or less with the majority. I felt that Prime 1 and 3 were better, and I had some issues with, you know, some of the game's difficulty. But over time, as I replayed these games and, you know, gone for 100%, gone for all the lore, you know, really just, you know, every time I sort of played them, Prime 2 seemed to grow on me just a little bit. And nowadays, I'd say that I consider it relatively equal with the first game, if not better in some aspects. And you know, I feel like this game is very underrated, very underappreciated, and I'd like to be able to explain why that is, maybe broaden some people's horizons, change some minds. You know, like, maybe that's a little naive. I doubt that, you know, maybe 1 or 2 people said like, alright, I can understand where you're coming from, but I don't agree, but I would like to give this game the attention it deserves, the praise it deserves. I would like to drum up some more appreciation for this title, and I feel like the best way to do that is to play it for you guys and to talk about what I think makes it special and worthwhile and enjoyable as a game in the Prime sub-series and as a Metroid game in general. So yes, this is Metroid Prime 2 Echoes for the Nintendo Wii. I will be going for 100%, and I will be going for all the lore, hopefully, like I did last time. But starting here, we can see that Samus has encountered an evil, dark version of herself here in Planet Ether, and these things just attacked her and stole all of her abilities, which is, I don't know, I'm not sure how it happened, because it looked like she was shooting them to get away or something like that, instead of, you know, like them piling on top of her, and I don't know, it didn't really make much sense. But then again, neither did the, you know, what happened in Prime 1 to get rid of all your stuff. So some of you may be screaming in the comments section right now telling me that, Exo, you just missed all that lore back there. Well, see, the thing is we will be coming back to this area later on. Speaking of which, I better scan this fella right here. This is a Dark Trooper. Vital scans indicate terminated life signs in this trooper in the presence of an unknown biomass with parasitic tendencies. Though the trooper's armor has been compromised, the bulk of it remains intact. Weapon systems remain online as well. Full parasitic fusion has yet to be obtained, resulting in low agility and response time. So these dead carcasses have been possessed by something that is causing them to move around. So yes, every time we meet a new enemy in this playthrough, I will be trying to identify it as soon as possible, but at the same time I want to keep the commentary going. I don't want to interrupt it, you know, to briefly talk about something and then have to come back to it later. There is a save room if you're doing low on health and don't want to have to backtrack. Unlike the first Metroid Prime game, however, this game does have a continue feature, where if you die on certain bosses or, you know, sequences in the game, you can select continue and not have to reload from your last save, which is nice. I probably won't need it because, for one thing, I'm playing on Veteran. As to why I'm playing on Veteran and not the highest difficulty Hyper Mode, I explained this in my playthrough of Prime 1, but I feel that Hyper Mode, you know, doesn't really make the game harder in, you know, like a fun or interesting way. It's more like enemies take more hits to kill and you die in less hits, that sort of thing. And, you know, like, I feel like it would just bog down the pace of the playthrough, not it's not like Star Fox where like each difficulty is like its own original game, or there are other games that actually like change the layout of enemies or strategies for bosses with each difficulty. I mean, like if that were the case, I'd happily show off hyper mode, but you know that's not what's going on here. So looks like we got another new enemy here. This is the Green Kraly, the cousin to the dimension-shifting Kraly. The Green Kraly spends its days roaming in search of food. A genetic defect prevents its back crystal from harnessing energy and opening warp portals. It is doubtful the Green Kraly misses this ability. I'm not sure why the lore entry says that. If I could jump through dimensions and I suddenly lost that ability, then I'd be kind of peeved. But at the same time, I seriously doubt the Green Kraly is aware of the evolutionary processes which have affected it. So, but yes, so as I was saying before, there was lore back in that little hive area we were just in, but it's something I like to save for later, because like I'd like to get this, you know, sort of the main plot of the game moving along first before we get bogged down in a bunch of lore, just so that you guys can get a feel for what the game is like. And when I do that backtracking later, if you're really interested in the lore and seeing how to get 100%, you can see it then. Because there are like quite a few dead soldiers with a lot of lore, you know, that are all sort of like right next to each other. And if I stopped to look at them, we'd be like literally a couple straight minutes of this part would be me just looking at them. Anyway, we saw these guys in the cave earlier, but these are the Splinter. When it isn't hunting, a Splinter will secrete a protective cocoon around itself and enter a state of hibernation. Localized seismic disturbances will awaken the Splinter, triggering a state of blood frenzy in the process. While in this state, a Splinter emits pheromones that trigger frenzy in all nearby Splinters. Disturbing a pack of sleeping Splinters is not advisable. By the way, I really enjoy the track that's playing here right now, The Great Temple Grounds. Just great stuff. I love the soundtrack in this game. That's one of the aspects of this game that I feel like people haven't been fair about. I mean, there are perfectly legitimate things to dislike about Prime 2, and I will be noting them and, you know, sort of offering my own impressions of those things as the playthrough progresses. But, you know, a lot of people, you know, don't really seem to talk about the soundtrack in this game, and I think that's a shame because it's pretty good. I'm not sure if I'd say it's better than Prime 2, or Prime 3 even. I'm not going to try to rank them for people, but you know, when it comes to soundtracks, I don't feel like that's the sort of, because musical taste is very subjective. I don't feel like a game has to, you know, like necessarily improve upon the overall quality of a previous installment soundtrack to be as good as the previous game. Just as long as it's got some good tunes in the background, I'm more or less satisfied. Yes, essentially what we're doing at the moment, in case you are curious, is these Galactic Federation troopers like this guy, you know, they got stranded on this planet, Ether. I'm not sure how is it pronounced Ether? Because it's spelt with an A, and I've always pronounced the A like Aether, but I think it's supposed to be like the things that heal your magic points in Final Fantasy, the Ethers. Whatever it is, that is the name of this planet we are on, and we're trying to figure out what happened to these guys. And I'm guessing it has something to do with those things we saw in that dimensional portal with Evil Samus, Dark Samus. But we'll be learning a little bit more about that in just a moment, actually, after we make it through this room. Alright, that up there is a new enemy. This is the Growler class turret. The GM42 Growler class turret is a dated design, though still quite effective as a point defense system. It is lightly armored and fast-moving targets can evade its tracking system. Several copies of the system exist, including the Space Pirate Humility class automated turret. These things suck. Just shoot them with anything more powerful than a single power beam shot and they'll go down in like seconds flat. You gotta open this guy right here. We can move along. Now this won't open all the way up, so you gotta use a morph ball. Pretty simple. This area does a pretty good job as a tutorial area without, you know, shoving everything down your throat. I'm replaying Bowser's Inside Story right now, and holy fucking shit, that game is full of tutorials. It's a great RPG and a great Mario game, but it's like every 2 seconds, oh, you got a new ability to use in this area? Let's spend 5 minutes telling you how to use it, when it's something I could figure out in 5 seconds. It's just like, I really wish there was this way to skip those tutorials, but regardless, I feel Metroid Prime 2 is a lot more, the whole trilogy is a lot more unobtrusive when it comes to that sort of thing. At any rate, it appears to be found some sort of data file from the Federation guys. While on patrol in the Dasha system, we engaged an unknown space pirate frigate. The enemy frigate was crippled and it crashed on the planet Ether. We followed the pirates, but our ship was damaged by a storm as we entered Ether's atmosphere. By the way, it's playing a remix of Samus's theme. The theme from Super Metroid. I'm not sure what its real name is. Heavy magnetic activity during the storm disabled our comm systems. Upon landing, we split into 2 units, one to set up an ops base and the other to repair the ship. Each unit was doing fine, no problems, until they appeared. Also, I'd like to note that the pre-rendered cutscene we're looking at here is in 4:3 stretched to 16:9, which is why it looks all distorted and grainy. But I guess the text is rendered in real time over that because it's not being stretched. I don't blame them for doing this because, like, if you had a pre-rendered cutscene and didn't have the original assets left over, it's just like you can't really update that for widescreen unless if you redo it from scratch. So whatever. Now, what's wrong with this picture here? You have these badass Galactic Federation Marines getting their asses kicked by spiders. They're, tougher than the average Splinter spider thing, but still, that's pretty pathetic. They got their asses handed to them by spiders. I mean, I weep for the future of the Galactic Federation soldiers in the upcoming title for the 3DS Metroid Prime Federation Force, if the Federation Force cannot even handle spiders. Regardless, we know what happened to these folks. They were pursuing a pirate frigate, they were downed, they couldn't contact the Federation, and then they got killed by spiders. I like blowing up those crates, I don't know why, but this one looks a little different. There's something in here, something special. It is missile launcher. Surprised there wasn't a little cutscene. Usually when you get a power-up, you get like a little cutscene with Samus going like, whoa, what's this? But I guess missiles are so routine that she doesn't care. At any rate, we are going to be attacked by the same spiders. And after you see how easy they are to kill, you will agree with me that the Federation soldiers are pretty shitty soldiers. Target is host to a parasitic bioform. The presence of the parasite increases the target's overall combat threat level. Concentrated weapon fire will damage the target. Now, there are 2 ways to deal with these guys. The easiest way is to stand over here by the cliff, and when they jump at you, just dodge out of the way. Well, I fucked that up. Lots of people like to do this. Yep, see, you jump right off the edge. You don't even really have to move. Yep, got him. The faster way is to just shoot them till they die, and it's kind of what I recommend because, I don't know, I'd like, actually able to fight them instead of just cheating. I've always thought that was funny, though. Do not miss this on your first playthrough. This is the map room right here. Pretty easy to miss, even though you'd think that that map room we found earlier in the hive area was the map for this area. In truth, it is actually not. That only was the map for the little hive area. This will give you the map for the entire Great Temple Grounds, and you don't want to miss it. Even though I feel like the level design in this game is a little more easy to navigate than the first game was. But we'll have plenty of time to discuss that as the playthrough moves along. Over here should be a kinetic orb cannon. These things are sort of a win. And another dimension of puzzle solving to the level design. Metroid Prime 3 really gets happy with these things, unlike Planet Elysia, however it's pronounced. So, just like any other Metroid game in existence, there will be certain doors that you'll need certain weapons to open. This game is no exception. And it'll be a little different this time because of some of the new power-ups. Over here, we have the War Wasp. Returning from Metroid Prime 1, the War Wasp rarely strays from its hive unless it is pursuing an immediate threat. It attacks with no regards for its own survival, dive-bombing its enemy with the stinger extended. Fast-working toxins from the stinger can incapacitate most small organisms. If it battles foes at range, it will fire bursts of potent energy. So basically, these guys will fly around, I don't know, a charge shot takes them out pretty quickly. Another thing you'll want to keep in mind is that they have little hives that they'll try to come out of. I believe there's a thing to turn on the orb cannon up there. That's how we're going to get out of here. So you just take this up here and booyah. But these hive things, the War Wasps will spawn out of those indefinitely unless if you destroy them with a missile. So I recommend doing that as soon as you see them so that you don't have to waste your time with them. I mean, like, they don't really do much damage, so it's not like... Oh, unfortunately it appears that I've screwed myself over because I need missiles in order to break that wall. Oh, thank goodness there are War Wasps that I didn't kill. That'll make my life easier. Yeah, see, there we go, dropped a missile. So as you can see from this scan entry here, this wall is structurally unsound and the explosive weaponry will damage it. Then you go back over here to the orb cannon and you can get through no problem. It'll be... Yeah, and that's one thing, while we're on the subject of scanning, the scan visor. It was introduced in Prime 1, and it was basically your way of getting hints on puzzles. Oh, and while I remember, I'm going to go turn something off real quick. There it is. Yes, I want that off. Good. I remembered. Because I've played this game so many times, I know what I'm doing, but it's very useful for first-time players. Like, basically what the hint system does is if you take too long to get where the game wants you to get, it'll basically bring up like a little message that'll indirectly tell you, oh, go here to investigate seismic disturbance and the whatever, and then it will show you on the map where you're supposed to go. Like I said, I don't need it because I've played this game so many times, but here we have target that has been dead for 8.1 cycles, and what it means by that is like a year for that planet. Despite the presence of local animals, target corpse has not been disturbed. Scans suggest the presence of a toxic biochemical within the target. This may explain the lack of carrion feeding. Wonder what that thing was. Oh boy, can I scan it? Can I scan it? Oh, no. We'll be seeing more of those later. They're not very remarkable, so... be heading on in through here. What the hell is that? And you can't scan it from here, of course. So we'll step into the middle of this ring, which activates those conveniently placed electric fences, and we're gonna get attacked by spiders. Again. I mean, like, the game's gotta ease you into the combat somehow, but these splinters are pathetic. They go down in like 3 hits. Compared to some of the later enemies in this game, you know, they're a joke. Regardless, we have our sort of first mini-boss, if you can even call it that. I'm gonna try using splash damage. There we go. Because yes, you can damage enemies with more than just the missile itself. Don't forget to dodge out of the way. I'm doing a shitty job of that. Holy crap. So here we have the true mini-boss of this little area. This is the... Oh, he almost got me. This is the Alpha Splinter. Splinter war packs are dominated by the largest male. Alpha Splinters use their tremendous strength, size, and speed to subdue and kill prey, paving the way for their smaller broodlings. Yeah. So basically what you're going to want to do with this guy, and I think this is the last thing we'll do before we end this first part, is strafe around him. When he jumps towards you, just strafe out of the way. How you strafe is essentially, while you're locked on, tap the B button and hold a direction and you'll sort of side jump. Like, I didn't do it right there, but that's the easiest way to dodge attacks, and I highly recommend getting used to that as soon as you can, because it's very useful for fighting a lot of the bosses in this game. So this is the Dark Alpha Splinter. Splinter Alpha males are the first to be targeted for Darkling possession. Dark Alpha Splinters grow in strength and durability, making them an even greater threat than normal. That's still not saying much. The only real difference between this guy and the regular version is that he can shoot at you first of all. And unlike the regular Alpha Splinter, who would jump back into the middle of the arena after he attacked you, this guy will stay put until he jumps the next time. Which I think actually makes him kind of easier, because when he's in the center, you're closer and he's closer to you at all times and you have less room to maneuver. And when he does this, it's just like he stays there and then you have more room to get around him. And, you know, he doesn't really... Oh, I say that and then he hits me, of course. Dead. It appears that it possessed something. Something important, mayhap. So let's go get it. Oh, camera. When you find out what this thing is, you are really going to be questioning the intelligence of that thing we just killed. Believe you me. So, system alert, unknown item acquired. Alien technology has bonded to armor systems. Threat scan complete, no negative impact on suit performance. Alright, so we're going to head straight down through here. Actually, I think this is probably a good spot to end the first part, because I don't want it to go on too long. So, next time on Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, we'll be heading down that door and finding a little bit more about Ether and what it is that we'll be doing in this game. So, please stick with this one, folks. I promise you it gets more interesting as it goes along, and I promise that, you know, I will try to be very thorough and detailed as to why I think this is an underrated Metroid title. So, please, see you guys next time.